Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host. I think I'm on time today. Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. Welcome to the show. What am I doing? Welcome to the show. Welcome to that legal life. Welcome to all of the things that we have to do today. And what we have to do today is finish this document of whatchamacallit, Gavin McInnes versus the Southern Poverty Law Center. All right, so last night, of course, we had what do we have? Oh, there shouldn't have been an echo. Anyway, last night we got started. We got to page 22, top of page 22, and that's where we're going to pick up. We're going to go a little bit faster tonight. I don't know, maybe there's more jokes to be had at Gavin or the SPLC's expense. I mean, there's always more to be had at the SPLC's expense, but in general, we're going to be trying to pound through the rest of this thing. Give me a second, just fixing some settings. Settings are good to fix. In the meanwhile, if you have not watched it and you are following along, please go ahead and check out my newest video on the quartering lawsuit. I dropped it a couple hours ago. It is an update to the jurisdiction question. See, there are jokes to be made about the jurisdiction question. You can't make them these days. People will assume that you are hateful if you make a joke. So anyway, the jurisdiction question and the quartering, they have jurisdiction, venue is proper. That's all happening. Loader's attorney, if they were going to challenge it, missed the deadline, so they don't get to. So there's that. So anyway, you can go check out that video if you want. Like 18 minutes. I don't know. What you got? What you got, fams? Otherwise, we'll get started. If you want to interrupt me, if you want to interact with me, or if you just want to say thank you or whatever, not that you need to, but if you so choose, you can do so either through the super chat function, as Mithrin Emrys did here when he said, "How dare I say, how dare you be on time? For shame. For shame." And yeah, I am sorry for that. Someone is saying I should read the DOJ indictment document of the RAM guys who are being lawfared in Charlottesville right now. Who are the RAM guys? I don't know who that is. I read James Fields' stuff a couple times, I think, and that guy's going to prison. Because he happened to kill that one lady. Not always a good plan to kill someone with a car. The other way to interact is, of course, to use the Justice Chat function, which you can find in a link in the description of this video. Please note, in the description of this video is, in all caps, a sentence which reads, let me read it. Oh, well, two sentences. They're not all caps, I guess. It says, "This is a live reading of the document. I'm inviting you to join me for the laughs. If you want a legal opinion, if you just want the legal opinion, wait for that video. I'll do a summary video that will cover that. This is for hanging out, having fun. So, that said, let's get into this document, shall we? What do you think? Gosh, I am worn out tonight. So I'm hoping we can get through I'm hoping we can get through the whatchamacallit, the rest of this document in about 2.5 hours, and we'll be done then. I apologize to Gavin McInnes for identifying him as Irish and drinking Irish whiskey last night, even though the Johnny Walker is technically Scottish. I switched to Irish whiskey. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry to Ireland to do that to them. Yeah. All right. Andrew War Snowboard says, is you being on time Lady Rackets' fault? It's always Lady Rackets' fault when I do things correct. Okay, here we go. Let's jump into this, and then we'll hit Justice Chats as they pop up and Super Chats as they pop up too. Okay, thus, this is paragraph 112 at the top of page 22. Sorry, Lost Cause 78. Thus, SPLC's deplatforming strategy extends beyond mere mailing and online campaigns and the placement of hapless targets on the hate map. SPLC's deplatforming program depends. I think I read that, but we'll keep going. Depends on the cooperation of a cowed corporate sector, virtue signaling social media managers, and a technocratic stranglehold on virtually every organ of public and political influence in the United States. Yeah, I read these. Yeah, Gavin is a Canuck, but he's English born to Scottish parents, then moved to Canada, then he's in the US. But he's definitely not Irish. How's that? I read this one. I read this section. I must have been on page 23. Nope, I read that section too. Change the terms, reducing hate online. Oh, here we were. We were on page 26. I apologize. Page 26. We'll get back to that. Amy Minty, if you're looking to be bored to sleep, you're in the right place. Siren Jag says, I need a summary of the previous episode, please. I don't know exactly what point where I crashed last night, but it was bad. There was drool involved. Well, I mean, that's just how it goes with reading this lawsuit. And then Kevy Goes Live says, Vieira was announced as a playable race in Final Fantasy XIV. What is your legal opinion on bunny girls and MMOs? Shackles and corporal punishment. Also, will you restart your sub for Shadowbringers? P.S. Whistlepig is amazing. Restart your sub for Shadowbringers. Shadowbringers. Oh, is that that's the new expansion? I don't know. It's really hard for me to find time to play an MMO. ISJ322 says, take my cuck bucks. I just got done watching your last stream and noticed you were streaming the rest of it. Lol. What will you be drinking when they admit Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead? Thank you for your Goyim support. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I don't know what I'll drink when RBG dies. We'll see. Well, you know what I mean by dies, right? Because everybody dies. Not everyone truly admits it. Mithrin Emrys says both Gavin and especially the SPLC are worthy of mockery. As George Carlin said, joke them if they can't take a F. Okay, here we go. Currently drinking Glenlivet 12. It's a good one. It's a good one. But yeah, I don't know about the bunny people in Final Fantasy XIV. Gosh. Oh, gosh. I don't know. One thing Final Fantasy, man, it's got some weird art. Weird art. I know the style, but it's a weird art. Okay. 127. This is where we are. All right. This is the one where Gavin's got the fist. Fist up in the second picture. And the person's getting the riot shield to the grill right there in the third picture. It just looks funny because having someone mashed against plexiglass is funny. I don't even know who's on what side in this picture. Weefek, you don't like Glenn Levitt, buddy? All right. Two of the photographs, this is paragraph 127. Two of the photographs depict what appear to be violent confrontations involving unidentified persons whose identities are unknown, whose faces are mainly obscured, as shown below. Sandwiched between those two photographs is a third photograph. It's actually the second photograph. That's kind of an interesting way to put it. Of an eminently recognizable Mr. McInnes holding up a raised fist and surrounded by anxious-looking faces. Are they anxious-looking? I don't know if they're anxious-looking faces. That's a weird way to put that, but okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. On a mobile phone, from which most website content is now viewed. Ugh. The photograph of Mr. McInnes is the only one shown on the homepage of the Change the Terms website, as shown at left. Although both versions of the Change the Terms homepage featuring Mr. McInnes' photograph suggests he was part of a hate group involved in a violent confrontation with police, the photo of Mr. McInnes was actually taken in Berkeley, California at an April 2017 event at which no physical altercations occurred following the violent deplatforming of conservative provocatrice Ann Coulter. Provocatrice. I never thought of the female version of provocateur, but I'm glad that Ann Coulter is a provocatrice and not a cockatrice. Because, well, she might be, though. She might be able to turn you to stone with but a glance. I don't even know. I don't even know. Jellyfish sandwich. Pour one out for Justice Roberts' manhood. Oh, that went away a long time ago, I think. Bagel Goose says, will the bunny girls have sexy bunny toes or sexy human toes? Neither. They'll have anime toes. Not to be confused with tomatoes. What? What is this? What are you talking about? Why is Clay sending me messages? I don't know what he's talking about. Clay, you idiot. Oh, he's Clay, if this is a gotcha, I hate you. Anyway. Clay's on a misinformation campaign lately. All right. Back to Berkeley. Back to Berkeley. Mr. McInnes had traveled to Berkeley after Coulter canceled a planned speech at the University of California at Berkeley, UC Berkeley, on April 27th, 2017, after Antifa and other left-wing protesters threatened violence. UC Berkeley subsequently settled a lawsuit by the organizers of the Coulter speech for causing Coulter to cancel the event. Pursuant to the settlement, UC Berkeley agreed to rescind its subjective high-profile speaker policy and viewpoint-based security fee policy, and to abolish its de facto enforcement of the on-campus heckler's veto, by which a calculated threat of violence was relied upon to silence speakers, and to pay $70,000 to the event's sponsors, Young America's Foundation, to cover their legal fees. Several days later, Mr. McInnes went to Berkeley and read the context of Coulter's speech on a makeshift sound system to demonstrate the importance of free speech. As he spoke and prepared to depart from the platform, however, protesters attempted to surround Mr. McInnes. While the Berkeley police force present peacefully engaged the protesters, a phalanx of Proud Boys members surrounded Mr. McInnes and safely escorted him to his next designation. And I don't know if phalanx is the proper term. let's get legally pedantic with it. Because a phalanx is not able to really surround, right? A phalanx is a wall or a line with alternating shield and spear arms, so that your broad shield could cover you and the open half of the man next to you's body. So there was only a limited amount of room where you could thrust a spear through and destroy your enemies. So I'm not sure if you could surround them with a phalanx. I'm not sure about that. But if there are any Roman tactical historians out there, please correct me. I'm happy to be wrong about that. I think what's the plural of phalanx? Phalani? Whatever. Phalanxes? Phalanxes? Okay. The photograph shown on the Change the Terms homepage, actually a screen capture from a longer video, was taken as he departed the platform, at which time he pumped his fist and repeated the word uhuru, Swahili for freedom. Uhuru. Thus far from threatening violence, as suggested by SPLC's Change the Terms website, Mr. McInnes was, when the photographed what is with the editing in this document? It's abysmal. Being victimized by threats of violence and attempts at intimidation because of his nonviolent pro-free speech activism in Berkeley. While in the context of SPLC's webpage, it may appear that Mr. McInnes was threatening imminent mayhem by his raised fist. I don't think so. So guys, do you know that mayhem is illegal? Mayhem's a legal term. As much fun as like mayhem is, there's a legal term for mayhem, or mayhem is a legal term describing a certain act. And I'm pretty sure Gavin McInnes' raised fist is not threatening imminent mayhem. Mayhem is like a violent removal of a body part of someone. It's a criminal act. But like if you were to bite off someone's fingers or nose or something, rip off an ear, like karate chop off an ankle, that's mayhem. That's mayhem. Mayhem is not just like general rowdiness or whatever they're using it for here. Which, again, it doesn't really matter. But the fact that this is written by a lawyer and he's choosing a term that has a term of art specific legal meaning is weird. Why would you do that? Imminent chaos, imminent melee. You could do all sorts of things that are not criminal acts specifically. Very, very weird. Imminent jousting. Like Deep Fried Lettuce says Nikki Rekieta coming out as a trans woman. Mikote ERPer, stunning and brave. I don't even know what that means. Okay. Threatening imminent mayhem by his raised fist. Fingers are coming off, y'all. No reasonable person present at the time the photograph was taken could be intimidated by it. Well, or now. Juxtaposed as it was with his horn-rimmed glasses, button-up white dress shirt, neatly Windsor-knotted cravat, and the purpose of his presence to present Coulter's speech. Nonetheless, Mr. McInnes' image was and still is being depicted and distorted by SPLC in a montage of words and pictures, warning of imminent right-wing violence, suggesting falsely that Mr. McInnes is a militant leader of white supremacist hoodlums. And just remember, guys, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed about the lack of jokes that can be told, because there's so many more. But anyway, if you don't remember in the last video, Siren Jag, I never explained this. Long story short, I can't summarize what happened in the first part because it's a lot of narrative about stuff that doesn't really matter. But what I will say is this. If you remember in the first part, they were talking about, how the Proud Boys does not actually welcome anyone who is racist, alt-right, white supremacist, or ethno-nationalist. So it's kind of interesting how, like, the idea, of course, is that they're definitely racist, ethno-nationalist, and white supremacist. That's what's pushed forward. And the best way to attract racist people to join your group is to say, we don't want racist people in the group. We've learned this. We've learned this. Good job, Clay. Way to sit there waiting at the waiting screen. Cave says, I think the plural would be phalanges. I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay. Back to the document. Paragraph 141. Notwithstanding these facts, SPLC's Change the Terms homepage uses a photo of Mr. McInnes and the Proud Boys in particular, and specifically engaged in peaceful protest as a backdrop to copy that falsely characterizes the Proud Boys as violent, and stating, quote, just as the internet has created immense positive value by connecting people and creating new communities, it has also given new tools to those who want to threaten, harass, intimidate, defame, or even violently attack people different from themselves, as shown below. There you go. That's the thing that was just... Whew. ISJ 322 says, what if his fist can rip off your D-ick mayhem? Yeah, I mean, it would be, but I guess, I don't know, is Gavin running around grabbing junk? RJ Phoenix, probably. Mike Tyson probably did do an act of mayhem. Besides using McInnes' image in a defamatory fashion, what's a defamatory fashion? Not good. Not a good misleading fashion, false fashion, something like that. Don't use legally conclusive words in your complaints, guys. Don't do it. I've talked about this over and over. The Iqbal Twombly line of cases says that you have to have a pleading that alleges facts, not legal conclusions. If you lay out things like it uses it in a defamatory manner or defamatory fashion, that's a conclusion. That's a legal conclusion that has to be reached by either a judge or a jury. You don't get to just say it. So if you do just say it, the judge is supposed to ignore it. He's supposed to ignore it. So don't do that. It uses his image in a misleading fashion or in a deliberately false fashion, something like that. Lead them to the defamation conclusion as a dog whistle to inflame donors and supporters. The Change the Terms program of SPLC is also a serious attempt to institutionalize exactly the kind of deplatforming Mr. McInnes was protesting in Berkeley when the picture was taken. The Change the Terms policies that organizational members are to enforce are defined on the SPLC Change the Terms website simply as follows. Quote, users may not use these services to engage in hateful activities or use these services to facilitate hateful activities engaged in elsewhere, whether online or offline. As alleged above, however, SPLC has already established and acknowledged that its definition of hateful activities includes any activity, including activity expressly protected by the First Amendment, it deems ideologically objectionable. Moreover, not less over, moreover, the policy urged by SPLC via the Change the Terms program expressly requires that the organizations who adopt it prohibit any facilitation of SPLC's definition of hateful activities, whether online or offline. Sorry, guys, I'm rearranging things, so I'm looking more at you because it's weird looking off to the side. Very weird. Okay, this is better. This is better for me. I hope it's better for you. As the Change the Terms website explains, while an online payment processor may not be the vehicle through which a group directly engages in hateful activities, it's pretty hard to be hateful when exchanging money, so that's true. That's true. The online payment processor should not knowingly allow the group to use its services to fund hateful activities. Not denying services under this example would mean that the online payment processor is financially profiting from hateful activities. And honestly, financial processors should always profit from hateful activities and non-hateful activities. Not their job. Not their job to police the morality of the country by denying people access to their money or their ability to transfer money. That's not their job. Oh my goodness. So thirsty today, guys. All right. Under this rubric, all activities conducted by a group or individual affiliated with that group deemed hateful under SPLC's ideological standards, subject to control by any online service provider, regardless of the relationship or lack of relationship. You gotta have R, subject to control, between the service being provided and the conduct of the group or any of its members at any time, anywhere in the world, without condition. According to SPLC's Change the Terms website, these policies are intended for internet companies that provide the following types of services: social media, video sharing, communications, marketing, event scheduling, or ticketing, online advertising, financial transactions or fundraising, public chat or group communications, domain names, building or hosting websites, blogs, or message boards. After we have given tech companies a reasonable amount of time to digest, adopt, and implement these policies, we will initiate an evaluation process to see how companies stack up. This process will measure both tech companies' formal policies and how they implement them. Without effective and even-handed execution, a formal policy is just empty words. This is the SPLC threatening the companies adopting their what is it? How many words? How many words is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. The 26 words of the SPLC, they're threatening to enforce it, right? Because they're gonna make a list of who's doing the non-hate better. Who's doing the non-hate better with the 26 words. As of the date hereof, the Change the Terms website lists approximately 40 organizations, virtually all affiliated with left-wing ideology, as having, quote, signed on in support of the recommended policies for corporations to adopt and implement to reduce hateful activities on their platforms. SPLC is not interested in empty words. As shown above and detailed below with regard to Mr. McInnes, SPLC means what it says, and it has gotten results, destroying numerous careers and organizations, including those of the plaintiff. Bringing down the Proud Boys. Bringing down the Proud Boys. Gavin McInnes and the Proud Boys first appeared on SPLC's radar in June of 2017 when SPLC's website reported that he was a speaker at a New York anti-Sharia event and describing him as a neo-masculine reactionary. Guilty of making blatantly misogynistic comments. Guilty! How dare you, Gavin? You can't do that. You can't make fun of the of the women. Oh my gosh. RJ Phoenix, the drink of the day currently is Glenlivet 12-year. Oh, the SPLC post, which is still on the SPLC website, also suggests falsely that Mr. McInnes is associated with Vanguard America, a white nationalist group. So it says it falsely, which means he's not affiliated with them. On Stream Me, Wydarb asks, how long do you think SPLC would last if it had its tax exemption removed? I think they'd last quite a while. I don't think they'd slow down for a moment. All right. After this post, SPLC's mentions of Mr. McInnes and Proud Boys, who are attracting increased attention in national media, sadly not from the females, and that was a joke. I'm just kidding. And in social media, fundamental criteria for SPLC's fundraising purposes ramped up concomitantly, as did the pressure brought to bear on online channels and payment processors to deperson Mr. McInnes and the Proud Boys. Deperson Mr. McInnes and depeoples the Proud Boys. In February 2018, the Proud Boys received the unwelcome honor of being inducted into SPLC's Hall of Fame, the Hall of Hate. In another time, the Hall of Hate will be hilarious. In another time. That is, i.e., its enemies list or hate map. Hate map. What's up, Drumboy02? On August 1st, 2018, SPLC's website attacked the entire Proud Boys organization over what it described as a threat of violence by the Proud Boys at an upcoming rally in the Pacific Northwest. The Proud Boys did not threaten violence in connection with that rally, and no violence occurred. On August 2nd, 2018, SPLC's website attacked the entire Proud Boys organization and plaintiff, as well as Facebook, for hosting Proud Boys' members' pages. On August 10th, 2018, Mr. McInnes was banned from Twitter, where he had approximately 250,000 followers for, quote, violations of the terms of service. Violations of the terms of service. No more explanation was provided, but media reports that the reason was Mr. McInnes' association with the Proud Boys, which the media also reported had been deemed a hate group by SPLC, which it had done so. On October 19th, 2018, SPLC launched another attack. McInnes must be feeling like a Syrian airport right now. SPLC launched another attack on Mr. McInnes by oversimplifying, taking out of context, and deliberately misconstruing his commentary on swear words, slurs, and thought police to tar him as anti-gay. Mr. McInnes is not anti-gay. Please. Oh, I hope he mentions the butt thing to show how anti-gay he is. I hope he mentions the butt. What's the butt for? On October 31st, 2018, Mr. McInnes was banned from both Facebook and its affiliated service Instagram because of policies against hate groups. On November 9th, 2018, PayPal banned both Mr. McInnes and the Proud Boys, informing Mr. McInnes that, quote, we do not allow PayPal services to be used to promote hate, violence, or other forms of intolerance that is discriminatory. So non-discriminatory intolerance is just fine. Non-discriminatory hate and violence, also good. On November 19th, 2018, the British Guardian newspaper reported that, quote, the FBI now classifies the far-right Proud Boys as an extremist group with ties to white nationalism, according to a document produced by Washington state law enforcement. Although the FBI refused to corroborate the claim when contacted by reporters at the time, the Guardian's report, which also stated the Southern Poverty Law Center lists them as a hate group, gained extensive media coverage. Well, I mean, that's the Guardian's problem, in all honesty. That's not... A lot of these paragraphs could just go. They could just go out the window. In response to subsequent inquiries by journalists, FBI subsequently acknowledged that it had never characterized the Proud Boys in the manner claimed by The Guardian. Stating, when it comes to domestic terrorism, our investigations focus solely on criminal activity of individuals, regardless of group membership, which appears to be intended to intimidate or coerce the civilian population or influence the policy of the government by intimidation or coercion. The FBI does not and will not police ideology. The FBI statement, however, received virtually no coverage. On November 30th, 2018, Mr. McInnes was denied a visa for a paid speaking tour in Australia based on his bad character. Credit for his exclusion from Australia was taken by a Guardian columnist who led a campaign to prevent Mr. McInnes' entry into the country and who cited SPLC designation of the Proud Boys as a hate group in his Guardian column, urging that the visa be denied. On December 8th, 2018, Mr. McInnes was fired from his primary place of employment, Blaze TV, which had recently acquired CRTV, where his program was among the top 3 most popular. Wait, isn't CRTV in that Crowder's station? Did it get... Does Glenn Beck own Crowder? Did I miss that? Mr. McInnes was given no reason for his termination, but upon information and belief, approximate cause of it was SPLC's conduct as alleged above. Well, I don't know if that's true, because isn't Matt Walsh a hate group, according to SPLC? Matt Walsh has to be a hate group, according to SPLC. On December 10th, 2018, Mr. McInnes was banned from YouTube on spurious grounds of copyright infringement concerning certain videos on his YouTube channel. Again. What if I'm a judge? I'm looking at this going, what does YouTube have to do with the Southern Poverty Law? Why you got copyright takedowns in here? What is this? What is this? In response to his inquiry, Mr. McInnes was informed by YouTube that he could not appeal his ban, contrary to YouTube's own terms and conditions and inconsistent with its usual practice regarding copyright infringement claims. On information and belief, the copyright explanation for Mr. McInnes' ban from YouTube was a pretext for a ban based on the SPLC's conduct. I mean, maybe that the judge is not, you got nothing. You got nothing on that. You got nothing, Gavin! You're yelling into the void, Gavin. You're yelling into the void. This isn't helpful because, okay, you're not going to get there without some alleged facts. Facts. I don't even know how I mispronounced facts, but you're not going to get there because you have to allege what information and belief you have. Like, get the judge there, not just saying, oh yeah, by the way, around this other time, I got hit for copyright infringement, and it definitely, like, the copyright infringement definitely has to do with the SPLC. Like, I even believe you. I think you're probably right that they're related, but it's not pled out well in this complaint. You need some info. You gotta put skin to flesh and lay it down, buddy. Indeed, the YouTube ban was reversed only because of Mr. McInnes' diligence in establishing its falsehood and the earnestness of the copyright holder in acknowledging that it had made no complaint. Okay, so someone else made the complaint. Who? Oh gosh, this thing's looking tired. Hold on, I gotta tighten up the arm on my little mic here. Gotta make sure. What does this even look like these days? Oh, that's good. That's good. Sorry, I was told I was getting a little quiet on one of my videos, so I want to make sure the mic is in my grill. Okay. When, however, Mr. McInnes' YouTube account was restored several days later, it was demonetized, deemed ineligible for the sale of advertisements through Google AdSense. Mr. McInnes was informed that the demonetization of his account could not be appealed. Moreover, after his account was restored, YouTube inserted a description of Mr. McInnes at his YouTube channel credited to Wikipedia that included the claim, quote, "He is the founder of the Proud Boys, a chauvinist men's group considered to be a, quote, general hate organization by the Southern Poverty Law Center." Well, yeah, there you go. What, I mean, I guess. Indeed, that statement is also found at the Wikipedia entry Gavin McInnes, as of the date hereof, which entry quotes SPLC 7 times. Well, I don't know, Gavin. I don't know, Gavin's lawyer. Why don't you go to the edit history of Gavin McInnes' page on Wikipedia, the discussion part, and you find all of the users who are attached to that change and any change that cites the SPLC citations, and go ahead and find out if they're part of the SPLC or if they have any tie to it, or find out any of their other edits linked specifically to the SPLC. Why does a judge care what's on a Wikipedia article? That's not on the SPLC unless you link it. Indeed. Besides restoration of his account to a demonetized version of YouTube, Mr. McInnes has, since the time SPLC added him to its enemies list, been effectively deprived of the ability to either express his view, defend himself from the false and malicious accusations against him against him or to earn income through the social media platforms that have banned him. Okay. On January 10th, 2019, Mr. McInnes was banned from MailChimp. MailChimp. That's a joke from the first season of Serial, in which they had a bunch of like people who are not American try to say the word MailChimp, and none of them could. And NPR literally ran an ad making fun of English as a second or third language speaking people. Like that's what NPR did. They're like, ha ha, look at the person from India saying Melkahimp. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? If Gavin McInnes was like Melkahimp, they'd make fun. They'd ban him. They'd ban him from life. An email-based marketing service on the ground that his account was in violations of our terms of use. Upon information and belief, Mr. McInnes, the action... What? This is written so poorly. It's embarrassingly bad at this point. Upon information and belief, Mr. McInnes, the actions of the SPLC were a proximate cause of being banned from MailChimp. Okay. The SPLC has, through the actions alleged above, successfully deplatformed Mr. McInnes and rendered him virtually unemployable, or at best, has severely compromised his earning capacity and bargaining power with respect to future employment and the compensation. Therefore, the deplatforming of Mr. McInnes, intended and achieved by SPLC, is effective to great extent because of the technological economic phenomenon describes as network effects, because of which virtually no person or institution, regardless of the financial and technical resources available, can at the present time found or establish alternative social media or communications platforms to compete with those already in place. Which, while I agree with, is a hard claim to make because there are several alternatives in place, such as StreamMe, BitChute, BitTube, Live Leak, I don't know, Daily, what are the other ones? Daily Motion, I think. I don't know if all these have the same level of monetization and stuff, but they're there. They're there. And a judge is going to wonder why someone can claim that they don't exist when they exist. So, I don't know. The acts alleged herein by SPLC were, on information and belief, approximate cause of the banning of Mr. McInnes from these platforms, payment processors, and monetization channels. Beyond this, SPLC has destroyed Mr. McInnes' reputation and declared open season on him and his family, which is rude. His family should be left out of it. As recounted in a November 2018 article in the only magazine, The Daily Beast. What? Guys, there's only one magazine. Just one. The only magazine is The Daily Beast. Whew. They mean online. In the only magazine, The Daily Beast, Mr. McInnes and his family have been the subject of an escalating social boycott in the Westchester County neighborhood where they live, whose residents' real problem, locals say, is with McInnes' role in the Proud Boys, which has been designated as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. As the article recounts, quote, so the founder of the Proud Boys lives around here. Read the email, which was reviewed by the Daily Beast. Quote, I suggest we buy the hate has no home here lawn signs and ask our friends and neighbors in the neighborhood to put one on their lawn. Imagine if everyone had one. It would send a clear message to him and his ilk. The signs are $20 each and bulk orders ship free. Spread the word. The email was quickly forwarded to other community members. A person familiar with the messages said, by the following day, the campaign had, quote, gone way beyond me and farther than anything I could manage. The original emailer wrote neighbors, reminding them that the campaign should preach, quote, the opposite of hate and intimidation. So here's what they're going to do for their counter-hate movement. They're going to brigade a family. Good job. You did it. You figured out how to Twitter in real life. Oh my gosh. You Twitter brigaded someone in real life at their house in their neighborhood. The irony of this last formulation being lost on the original emailer, the dependence of all concerned in this neighborhood-wide targeting of a mixed-race family that had done them or anyone else no harm on SPLC's hate designation is obvious from the Daily Caller article. And again, just embarrassing editing. Embarrassing. VG, that's a great question. How much the lovely person who drafted this got paid? It's a 61-page document, and it's not boilerplate. It's hand drafted. This took hours. This took hours and hours and hours of time to write. $2,000? I don't know the price of his lawyers, but I mean, they probably got paid. They had to have gotten paid more than $1,000 to write this document. Probably $3,000. Oh my gosh. For Mr. McInnes and his family, such reality, a false reality created by SPLC as part of a campaign purposely intended to destroy Mr. McInnes, may very well affect whether their father and breadwinner can even remain with them in the United States, where all of them were born and grew up. Because Mr. McInnes is a non-citizen who is a legal immigrant in the United States from Canada and holds a green card, SPLC's false and malicious designation of Mr. McInnes as a member of a hate group could affect his immigration status and even potentially result in his deportation. That damage hasn't happened yet. That damage hasn't happened yet. No. Yeah, I know, VG. I was just talking about the drafting. I will not be rewriting this document so it's legible. I will not do that. No way. No way. Reading it takes long enough. Writing it, I'm not getting paid by Gavin. This is not the only respect in which, because of the SPLC, Mr. McInnes has gone from being known as an edgy, sometimes vulgar and highly opinionated performer and commentator to the leader of a hate group, and has been deemed fair game for physical and aggressive confrontations and other forms of harassment. I mean, what we've all learned so far is don't start groups. Don't start groups. I mean, if you want to join groups, guys, that's up to you, but why? It just opens you up to this type of stuff. Hard enough being independent these days, right? It's hard enough being yourself. Being part of a group where someone else's actions or the actions of group members could really just go ahead and wreck everything you do. Because of the SPLC's targeting of Mr. McInnes, the McInneses continue to experience relatively mild, but for a young family, painful harassment and social ostracism in their neighborhood of the kind described in the Daily Caller article, including vandalism of their property. Mr. McInnes has had little ability to fight back and defend the calumny. Calumny? See, that's a word I don't know. I got to figure out what that means. I mean, I could context it, but calumny, the making of false and defamatory statements about someone in order to damage their reputation. That's a cool word. The more you know, right? Learning words live here on Rekieta Law. Or I am. I hope you guys are too. Besides losing the ability to rehabilitate his reputation by presenting his own case in the social media channels through which he is being harmed by SPLC, Mr. McInnes used and relied on these platforms to reach and expand his audience and to promote services and activities that enhance his earning capacity, both directly and indirectly, all of which he is now unable to do. And you know what? Like, guys, I'm sympathetic here. I really hate the idea of what the SPLC is doing. And I, of course, hate the deplatforming that's been going on, all of that stuff. But this is just really frustratingly drafted. SPLC's Golden Goose. Despite its dubious achievements in socially and professionally isolating Mr. McInnes and his family, SPLC's obsession with Mr. McInnes and, upon information and belief, there should be a comma there, its commitment to promoting him and the Proud Boys as boogeymen to spur SPLC's fundraising has not ceased to this day. As of the date hereof, a search for the term McInnes on the SPLC website returns 72 results, with articles or other postings almost every month since his first appearance. Beside being misleadingly featured on SPLC's Change the Terms website, Mr. McInnes' image, typically with inflammatory, misleading, or defamatory text superimposed on it, is ubiquitous on the SPLC's website and Twitter feed as well, as shown in the selection of recent tweets below. Okay. Here's a bunch of tweets. Good job. Some of these faces he's making are good. Good thing. Besides maintaining, on its website and through its social media channels, all the content referred to above, SPLC so values Mr. McInnes as a stalking horse for its fundraising efforts that it actually pays for Google ads to beckon internet users to its website when users search Google for relevant terms. Whew. An example is set forth below. A Google ad that appeared online in January of 2019 when internet users search Proud Boy bylaws and directs inquirers to its What You Need to Know entry on the SPLC website, as well as a hate groups map and a web page on the SPLC site entitled Exposing Extremist Groups. Oh my goodness. On information and belief, this search triggered ad is still running on Google. Oh my gosh, we're almost through the facts section, guys, and on to the claims. Whew. I'm gonna have to pour one out for my homies. Because the essence of the damage caused by SPLC to Mr. McInnes consists of both rendering Mr. McInnes socially despicable and radioactive because of his alleged hate group and extremist sympathies, and two, deplatforming Mr. McInnes so that he is unable to either make a living as a performer and commentator via alternative channels of distribution or to rehabilitate his reputation. Mr. McInnes is essentially an untouchable, unable to retain or be considered for gainful employment in his line of work, much less work that is commensurate with the opportunities available to him prior to SPLC's campaign of destruction against him. SPLC's actions have injured Mr. McInnes in an amount to be determined at trial. Count 1. Tortious interference with economic advantage. Mr. McInnes hereby incorporates and realleges the foregoing allegations as if fully set forth herein. SPLC, as alleged above, admits that it selects, attacks, and destroys targets such as Mr. McInnes as part of, quote, an effort to hold them accountable for their rhetoric and the ideas they are pushing. SPLC's leadership has also admitted that its goal is, quote, to destroy these groups. As alleged above, Mr. McInnes had numerous protectable business interests prior to their destruction by reason of the conduct of SPLC, including but not limited to his highly remunerative employment by CRTV/Blaze TV, the promotional opportunities arising from that position, and from his pre-existing reputation as a humorist and social commentator, speaking opportunities across the globe, and the opportunity to raise money through operation of a YouTube channel. Meximan and Cheese says, did Gavin hire Charlie? He only knows bird law? I don't know. I mean, I never like to assume that an attorney that I'm reading a document of is incompetent. But I mean, there's all sorts of things that could cause stuff like this. Lots of situations that I don't know if we need to get into them. But, you know, maybe he's, I don't know. Maybe he's hoping, let's theory craft this for a bit. Maybe he hired an attorney at a low rate with the intention of just drumming up some drama, right? Like he's going to do this. Hopefully they'll back down with a settlement offer of, okay, we'll take down the designation. You can work on getting remonetized, something like that. Where they're not paying him several $1 million. Maybe he's just after something like that, and by ginning up enough news and support about it by filing a lawsuit, he can work on it. I don't know. I mean, I would assume seems like that'd be a bad strategy. I'm just trying to figure out like if there was a reason why this would be so cut rate. Okay. Anyway, as alleged, yeah. SPLC was aware of Mr. McInnes' protectable business interests as set forth above. SPLC had no bona fide relationship with and was a stranger to the above alleged protectable business interests of Mr. McInnes. Are they? What is this stupid thing? Let's go to SPLC. Where's change the terms? What we do. Where's change the terms? Change the terms. Change the terms. Here we go. Where's changetheterms.org? Let's see who's do we have some organizations on here? Oh gosh. Ugh. Hold on, I'm looking to see if we have the companies in change the terms. I should adopt change the terms. YouTube changed the terms. I don't know. I'm just wondering if all okay, sorry for the distraction there. But he says that they don't have any privileged contact, but if any of those organizations have signed up for change the terms, they actually do. So that's kind of weird. Sorry. SPLC intentionally interfered with Mr. McInnes' protectable business interests by the conduct set forth above, and specifically, without limitation, its role as a censor, consultant, or advisor to the various social media platforms and payment processors from which he's been banned. Okay, Gavin's lawyer. Why didn't I just read it? Why didn't I just read? I'm never gonna learn. If the SPLC is a consultant or advisor to any of the platforms that you got removed from, then they do have a privileged relationship with them. They just do. It's not right. It's not good, but it is real that they have it. So why would you say this? Why would you do this? Why would you label you've made the defense at every step of this document, and it's driving me nuts. Oh, here you go. Mr. McInnes has suffered and unless enjoined by this court will continue to suffer financial and other damages as a result of SPLC's wrongful conduct. Mr. McInnes has no adequate remedy at law. Well, if you don't have an adequate remedy at law, the court can't help you. You don't have standing. They could just motion to dismiss for lack of standing. If there is no remedy for the court to provide redress of damage, you don't have a claim. Why would you write that there's no remedy? What? The remedy is money. The remedy is money. You took away his money. Of course there's a remedy, and of course it's money. What is wrong with you people? Count 2, defamation. An SPLC hate designation is understood and treated as essentially an official or empirical determination of fact by a significant material proportion of the public, as well as not proportion, come on, as well as numerous critical social and governmental institutions. These institutions include law enforcement, academia, the mainstream press, the managers of social media platforms, and others who dominate and substantially control access to news and information and other important civic resources. Yeah, this is almost a good novel claim on defamation. I was just going to talk about this. I was just going to talk about like the approaches to defamation that they could do, because there's an opportunity with all of this stuff to make to change defamation law to make it so that organizations like the SPLC, which are given a disproportionate level of trust for their opinions, to make their opinions, which would be protected speech, because of the responsibility that they must wield because of their ability to mangle someone, that they get a different standard of truth. We have different standards of truth in defamation already, okay? We've got the regular defamation for regular people, which is just you publish a false statement, all right? Then when you're talking about public figures in an act related to their public duties or in a matter of public concern, you have a heightened standard, okay, where the falsehood that you utter has to be malicious, with malice. So you have to have either knowledge, actual knowledge of the falsity, or a reckless disregard for pursuing the truth. So we have two standards of truth that are already in existence for defamation. There's no reason we can't make a reduced standard where a public company or a public person who has developed some sort of reputation, like a fact checker or a hate watch lister, gets some sort of reduced standard where they have a duty to go beyond what is normally done in pursuing the validity of their claims, and they have a reduced standard. We could do that. The court has room for that sort of determination, and it's ripe. It's ripe with the online presence, with the reality of this network stuff. They've laid out a lot of the groundwork here, but the rest of the suit is so dang terrible that we're never going to get there. We can't do it from Gavin's suit, and it would be a perfect opportunity to do it. And instead, they're just pulling the chain, shaking the lever, and flushing it down the toilet like crazy. It's ticking me off. I hate it. All right. Okay. Sorry for that rant. The SPLC affirmatively encourages and cultivates the treatment of the SPLC hate designations as factual determinations. For example, SPLC states on its website, law enforcement professionals are more likely to encounter dangerous extremists than virtually any other segment of American society. They're more likely to encounter dangerous extremists than non-dangerous non-extremists. That's what that just said. So that's stupid. And those confrontations are, tragically, sometimes fatal. With that in mind, SPLC has undertaken a number of initiatives to equip officers with information and other resources that may help them carry out their duties with a minimum of danger to themselves. Our free law enforcement trainings teach officers how to recognize hate groups, symbols, and activity, the threat potential of specific groups, and how to respond to hate group activity. The extremist files contain updated biographical profiles of leading hate groups and extremist leaders, plus background on the various extremist ideologies, and our hate map helps officials locate extremist groups within their communities. The SPLC resources offered to law enforcement agencies are in fact used by and relied on numerous law enforcement and other government agencies, in many cases definitively and without further inquiry or investigation regarding the SPLC hate designations. Thus, government, police, and, as alleged above, foreign governments, press outlets, and major social media platforms, and others in the technology sector rely to varying degrees, in some cases without reservation or further inquiry, on the SPLC hate designations for purposes of banning them or their members from entry, membership, access to resources, employment, and other rights and benefits to which they otherwise would normally be entitled or permitted to use. Siren Jag says, lawsuit submitted by Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. Rage Boner submitted by Nick Rekieta. And Billy Boy Blue says, fireball time, Nick. No, it never is fireball time. It never is. Moreover, expert witnesses in litigation, administrative, and other matters involving civil rights, discrimination, and related matters often routinely refer and defer to the SPLC hate designations by SPLC. As a result of such testimony and based on other submissions, courts, administrative tribunals, and other government bodies and organizations have cited and continue to cite SPLC hate designations and related analyses and conclusions as plain fact and not opinion. Among the many courts accepting without analysis or discussion SPLC's hate designations as fact in the last 5 years include the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. As City Journal writer Mark Pulliam wrote in July 2017, in our polarized culture, the epithet hate group is the ultimate slander of political opponents. The SPLC's spurious imprimatur gives mere calumny gravitas, allowing liberal journalists to wield its highly charged judgments as a weapon. citing it as if it were a dispassionate authority. Many liberal or merely lazy journalists discredit conservative organizations by noting that they are listed by the SPLC as a hate group, treating its often dubious designations as gospel truth. A reasonably prudent and typical person encountering SPLC's false and defamatory statements alleged herein, in the context in which SPLC published and continues to publish them, would understand them to be meant as statements of purported fact, not expressions of opinion, rhetoric, or polemics by the SPLC. Oh, that's going to be a tough sell. That's going to be a tough sell. For the foregoing reasons, each and every designation or reference by SPLC to McInnes as an extremist, white supremacist, as an extremist, white supremacist, extremist, alt-right figure, I really like extremist, or similarly described figure, or defamatory association of him by juxtaposition of his name and persona with that of the Proud Boys, which SPLC has designated a hate group, or other such use of an SPLC hate designation referring to is not protected opinion, but is made and intended by SPLC to be accepted and understood as a statement of fact, and it so accepted and understood. I mean, this is all going to be a tough sell. This is all going to be a tough sell. I love reasonably prudent people too, VG. How many have you met? Because I love meeting them. It happens all the time. The above alleged statements, insinuations, and characterizations published by SPLC about Mr. McInnes are false and defamatory. The above alleged statements, insinuations, and characterizations published by SPLC about Mr. McInnes constitute claims of moral turpitude concerning him and are defamatory per se. I don't know if that's going to qualify as moral turpitude for per se damages. It's typically crimes of moral turpitude, not just claims of moral turpitude. Oh, this is all rough. Billy Boy Blue says, hey, you a WWE fan? If so, did you grow up with it? No, I'm not a WWE fan. I briefly watched wrestling as a kid and a little bit in high school, but very, very little. Let's see. Ryan English says, at what point are you morally obligated to try and get a hold of Gavin and clue him in? I'm not at all. Thank God. Thank God. Ultimo Bot says, shotgun a beer, brosif? Oh, man, no thank you. I'm not a beer fan. Not a beer fan at all. Okay. The above alleged statements, insinuations, and characterizations published by SPLC about Mr. McInnes constitute communications to third persons of defamatory statements subjecting him plaintiff to disgrace, ridicule, odium, or contempt. Yeah, sure. SPLC has made, continues to make, and unless enjoined by this court, will in the future make such defamatory statements and insinuations about Mr. McInnes in the expectation, moreover, that not only will such statements be understood as factual and not opinion, but that those to whom such statements are published will rely on the SPLC statements to take action, damaging Mr. McInnes as alleged above. Furthermore, SPLC's false and defamatory statements are not limited to its innumerable and widely published designations of Mr. McInnes and the Proud Boys in the terms and the materially false and misleading manner described above, but also includes scores of other false and defamatory statements of purported fact as set forth below. All right, here we go. Here's more. More stuff that probably should have been in the fact section and not in your claims section. Oh, this is... An article, so June 8th, 2018, Hate Watch Staff Europe Report. An article dated June 8th, 2018 on the SPLC website by Hate Watch staff entitled Last Month in Europe, May 2018, bears the heading, the following is a list of activities and events linked to American white supremacist, neo-Nazi, anti-LGBT, anti-immigrant, and anti-Muslim groups and personalities in Europe. The SPLC post described a May 6, 2018 event in London called Day for Freedom, at which Mr. McInnes spoke, describing him as Gavin McInnes, the founder of the Proud Boys, which SPLC lists as a hate group. The asterisk in the sentence is, according to the article heading, an indication that the referenced organization is listed as a hate group. Although the sentence also explicitly says which SPLC lists as a hate group. Oh my goodness. Oh, hey. The June 2018 article by SPLC Hate Watch staff on the SPLC website is false and defamatory towards Mr. McInnes because it falsely ascribes to him characteristics of SPLC's false description of the Proud Boys, when in fact the Proud Boys are not a hate group. The June 8th article by SPLC Hate Watch staff on the SPLC website is false and defamatory toward Mr. McInnes because it falsely ascribes to him characteristics of SPLC's false description of the Proud Boys, when in fact the Proud Boys are not white supremacist, neo-Nazi, anti-LGBT, anti-immigrant, or anti-Muslim. June 8th, 2018 article by SPLC Hate Watch staff on the SPLC website is false and defamatory toward McInnes because it falsely ascribes to him characteristics of SPLC's false description of the Proud Boys, when in fact Mr. McInnes, an immigrant, is not white supremacist, neo-Nazi, anti-LGBT, anti-immigrant, or anti-Muslim. Okay. So there's that. ISJ 322 says, this super chat hereby absolves all responsibility of Mr. Rekieta to consume the drink known as Fireball. This may only be used once. Hail Andy and Jim. Oh, thank God. Landon Mac James says, don't like beet, but drink gin. That stuff tastes like diseased DICK. Also, we don't need you to be a WWE fan. Being a weeb is more than enough, Dad. You know, there is some butt tasting gin out there, but there's also very delicious gin. You have to find the right stuff, buddy. August 17th, 2018, Rachel Janik, Kessler Falls Flat article. So again, all of this stuff. Would you take a shot for every misspelling or error in this document? I would have died on like page 6. Oh my gosh. Why aren't these in the facts section? You could have referenced the paragraphs that you're talking about in your. This stuff should all be moved to the facts section, and the count should address the paragraphs specifically that include this information. Kevin Thomas says, big brain theory. Gavin is controlled opposition. This is made deliberately bad to torpedo any future cases. I guess. An article dated August 17th on the SPLC website by Rachel Janik, entitled Kessler Falls Flat in DC, but the radical right marches on, states, the Proud Boys, an SPLC designated hate group started by Vice co-founder, original hipster, and self-described Islamophobe, Gavin McInnes. Gavin, are you scared of the Islam? And Joey Gibson's Patriot Prayer have found great success recruiting converts to their cause in the Pacific Northwest with an approach that focuses on the same old reactionary politics and fear, just with fewer vulgar racist overtures and more Americana. So they're less racist, so that's bad, I guess. And another thing, they offer their right-wing converts a chance to duke it out in the street with people they disagree with. Yeah, baby! More combat! Oh my gosh. On the August 17th article, the August 17th, 2018 by Rachel Janik on the SPLC website is false and defamatory toward Mr. McInnes because it falsely ascribes him characteristics of the SPLC's false description of the Proud Boys, when in fact the Proud Boys are not a hate group. Oh, these are all written the same, and they're all annoying. Long and short, Proud Boys do not recruit converts to their cause in the Pacific Northwest with an approach that focuses on the same old reactionary politics and fear. Well, I mean, come on, that's not a defamatory statement. Like, there's no way that statement qualifies as defamatory. The Proud Boys do not make right-wing converts. Oh, okay, what? That's not a false description. That's an opinion. This isn't the Oh, wait, no, this is on the SPLC. Okay, sorry, this is the SPLC. Losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. The Proud Boys do not offer anyone, quote, a chance to duke it out in the street with people they disagree with. Oh, well, now I'm definitely not joining. Mr. McInnes is not an Islamophobe, as the word is used and understood on the website. It sounds like a weasel way out of that one. It's not an Islamophobe as it is on the website. He's self-described as an Islamophobe. Like, if they're just, I mean, I get it. They're quoting him out of context. They're taking it all away, but really, really not sending their best at the moment. Billy Boy Blue says, I asked if Mr. Rekieta was a WWE fan growing up in order to see if he knew China. Yeah, I know who China is. If he saw her getting gangbanged by porn stars dressed up as classic WWE superstars. That sounds like the worst thing ever made. I don't want to see that ever. I no. Oh God. August 7th, 2017, Bill Moreland, quote, Unite the Right Historic Showcase article. An article dated August 7th on the SPLC website by Bill Moreland, entitled, quote, Hundreds of alt-right activists and white nationalist extremists are set to descend on the small community of Charlottesville, Virginia on Saturday in what's shaping up to be the largest hate gathering of its kind in decades in the United States. That's the title? That's way too long of an article title. States, the Trump-inspired Proud Boys, called the alt-light by some. This depends what restaurant you're at. The alt-light by some and always seeming to be looking for a rumble may or may not show up in sizable numbers, although the group's founder, Gavin McInnes, says he full-heartedly supports the rally. The August 7th article by Bill Moreland is false and defamatory toward McInnes because it falsely ascribes to him characteristics of SPLC's false description of the Proud Boys, which is not, quote, always looking for a rumble. Only some of the time. It's false and defamatory. Mr. McInnes did not full-heartedly support the rally, but instead stated that he supported anyone's right to attend the rally. And that is interestingly, that's different. And that is objectively provable. So that could, there might be a defamation claim in here somewhere. That's wrong. Good job. Indeed, the extent of the falsity of the August 7th article by Hate Watch staff is demonstrated by a statement by him, dated June 21st, 2017, found on the Proud Boys websites, saying that he had, quote, been asked a lot about this Unite the Right thing going on in August, and that the Proud Boys leadership had decided to disavow the event. Mr. McInnes also said, I get that it's about free speech and we want everyone, even white nationalists, to have that right. But I think it's coming at a time when we need to distance ourselves from them. I'm not punching right. I'm just not coming to your rally. No offense. Also disavowing. So there you go. Clay Early says, how much does it cost for you and I to drink PBR together on stream and you pretend you like it? No feet. Oh, I don't know, man. That's going to be a hard sell. I'm a good actor, but I'm not that good. Kenster1790. It's not looking good for our hero. It's not looking good for our hero. We'll put it that way. The article on the Proud Boys website goes on to say, looking at this rally, it doesn't even look like a rally that fits in with Proud Boys. The imagery looks like something that comes from 1930s Germany. Kind of does. Where are your American flags? Or are you trying to appease those speaking in your group who aren't even proud Americans? Nearly every single one of your speakers do not believe in American values. Just look at this flyer, which is pictured on the right, and try to tell me it doesn't look like Nazi propaganda. The truth is we don't need white supremacists in Proud Boys. We are Western chauvinists, not racists, and welcome anyone who agrees with that. We don't give a poop what the color of your skin is, but nearly all of the speakers at this event can't seem to do anything but talk about skin color. I understand that Antifa and the rest of the radical left will continue to call Proud Boys racist. That doesn't mean we should become racist or share a stage with racists. So there you go. That's their statement there. Uhuru. August 7th, August 10th, 2017, Hate Watch staff, quote, "Do you want bigots, Gavin?" Article. Do you want bigots, Gavin? Do you want them? And, gosh, listen to the... What has happened to us? Like, I love when memes become real life, but they're writing on an SPLC, like on what's supposed to be a serious article. Listen to this title. An article dated August 10th on the SPLC website by Hate Watch staff entitled, "Do you want bigots, Gavin? Because this is how you get bigots." Like, that's a TV show joke. Turned internet meme. Turned into article title. Bears the subtitle, "Gavin McInnes, founder of the Proud Boys, what he would prefer to be described as a pro-Western fraternal organization, is adamant that his stable of Western chauvinists aren't bigots." Okay. Continuing, McInnes denies any connection between his group and the far right, dismissing the fact that they show up to the same events, take fashion cues from each other, read the same books, sympathize with each other's viewpoints, including, at times, anti-Semitism, ... and so on and so on, yada, yada, yada. The August 10th, 2017 article by Hate Watch staff on the SPLC website is false because it ascribes to him characteristics of the Proud Boys when in fact Proud Boys are not a hate group. McInnes, false because it suggests McInnes is an anti-Semite. False because it states that he perpetuates racist memes. Watch out for the racist memes being perpetuated. Hey, what's up, Desolator Magic? What's up, buddy? The August 10th article by SPLC Hate Watch staff 4M, the SPLC website, false and defamatory. Oh my gosh. A phone auto-correcting could have drafted a better document. This is... Falsely states that he devised what it falsely describes as the most fertile in real life recruiting ground for white supremacists and anti-Semites within today's organized far right. These are not actionable statements. I'm sorry. Like some of the other ones are potentially damaging statements of at least opinion that could be construed as fact, but this stuff is just... This is just opinion pieces. It's just op-ed. The August 10th article by SPLC Hate Watch staff on the website is false and defamatory toward McInnes because in addition to highlighting his name and photograph in an article containing bigoted and extremist quotes by others, it attempts to argue and leaves readers with the impression that numerous affirmative statements by Mr. McInnes disavowing, condemning, and distancing himself from white supremacists and anti-Semites proves that the Proud Boy is actually a white supremacist and anti-Semitic organization, and hence that Mr. McInnes himself is or promotes such views. August 25th, 2-017, Bill Merlin Fight Club article. Fight Club article. Underscored says, "You should try the Aboriginal drink of choice, gas." I don't want to drink gas. That sounds horrid. An article dated August 25th. Wait, Kenster1790 says, "Speaking about articles, some dummy on Twitter is trying scare tactics on you again." What? I don't know. Who's trying to scare me and with what? An article dated August 25th on the SPLC website by Bill Moreland entitled "New Fight Club Ready for Street Violence" bears the subtitle, "A new fight club fraternity of young white pro-Trump men is being funded. Its organizers claim to defend free speech rights by alt-right leaders and engage in street fighting." Is it funded? It's got to be funded? Formed? I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I've had one drink tonight. What is happening? Its organizers to defend free speech rights by alt-right leaders and engage in street fighting, and refers to the Free Order of Alt-Knights, or FOAC, a half-serious effort including retention of the serial beat-in process to provide a counterweight to the mainly uncontrolled phenomenon of Antifa violence at conservative events. Oh, I don't care about that guy, Kinster. The August 25th article by SPLC states falsely that the Proud Boys are known as the, quote, the military arm of the alt-right. That would be sad. And that the Proud Boys, quote, show up at pro-Trump rallies looking to rumble with counter-sick protesters. That FOAC should be compared to a neo-Nazi fight club called DIY Division. It's false because it ascribes to Gavin false characteristics of the Proud Boys, which is not the military arm of the alt-right. They're not looking to rumble. FOAC, which is not in any meaningful way comparable to a neo-Nazi organization. It falsely states that McInnes denigrated Muslims and called Asian Americans slopes and rice balls. Wow, on Fox News or the VDARE website. Slopes and rice balls? Holy Lord, Gavin. That's some slurring. That's some slurring. April 19th, 2018, Hate Watch staff, quote, investigating pathways to the alt-right article. This is the longest cause of action ever because all of this should have been in the fact section. The judge is going to forget that he's actually in the defamation section. All this should have been in your fact section. What is going on? An article dated April 19th on the SPLC website by Hate Watch staff entitled McInnes, Molyneux, and 4chan, the hacker known as 4chan, investigating pathways to the alt-right. Look at that graphic. Why don't they have Molyneux's face on there? Oh my gosh. Features the graphic shown below with a red arrow winding through a black maze against a white background. That's as multiracial as you need. You got red, white, and black all in the same picture, evoking the colors and geometry of the Nazi flag. No, it isn't. Like, I mean, come on. That's not the geometry of the Nazi flag. That starts with McInnes and leads to alt-right radical Jared Taylor as shown below. PLC's juxtaposition of Mr. McInnes and Taylor atop its April 19th article is defamatory toward Mr. McInnes because Mr. McInnes does not share the latter's extreme racist views. I don't like him. Ultimo Bot says the last meme is in captivity. The university is at peace. Oh, thank God. We've got all the memes. Got all the memes. For example, while Taylor is involved in the extremist white identity movement, advocates racial segregation, and derides race mixing, in contradiction, M. McInnes is married to an American Indian, has mixed race American Indian children. One of them, of course, being Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren is Gavin McInnes' daughter, and has frequently decried racism and extremism. Indeed, Mr. McInnes has debated Taylor on these very subjects. Well, that was your mistake. You went on the show with Taylor. Now you are PNG, buddy. You're PNG. The April 19th, 2018 article on the SPLC website also defames Mr. McInnes by conflating the definition and use of the term alt-right, which metamorphosed from a general description of alternative conservatives, i.e. figures and persons not included in mainstream Republican groupings and movements, to, by 2018, meaning the phenomenon of the new far right that is obsessed with race, nationalism, and anti-Semitism. By giving readers the impression that the alt-right label, which may have been accurate to describe Mr. McInnes in 2015, could still be used to describe him in 2018, SPLC defamed and continues to defame Mr. McInnes. Again, labeling someone like that is probably not gonna be defamatory. What are your thoughts on Jared Taylor? I don't have any thoughts on Jared Taylor. I've never listened to him, never watched him, never read his stuff. Don't care. don't care. Like most people in this world, I don't care anything about them or what their views are. And as such, let me lay this out here, guys. When I say I don't care what someone's views are, I literally don't care. I have no desire to bash their views or endorse their views or anything like that. People's views don't unperson them to me, even if I find them abhorrent or vile. I don't care. I like to find avenues to talk to people and go ahead and let them know my views. And if they like them, they can take them on. If they don't, I'm okay with that. So I will not unperson people or disavow them or anything else. Not my job, not my duty. I don't care. I could tell you when I disagree and agree, and that's about it. So, yeah. The article ascribes to Mr. McInnes or associates with him the comments of unidentified speakers claiming to be extremist white supremacists or similar adherents of far-right philosophies because of Mr. McInnes' work, which does not espouse any such philosophy. There you go. Now we get yet another article. Again, all of these, they could have just put all, they could have done so many different things. They could have done so many different things. Rape, I think, on Stream Me says, Jared Taylor is good. Disavow yourself for not having watched him, Rekieta Law. Nah. There are too many people to watch. And mostly what I watch are, you know, videos on how to make ramen. August 5th, 2018, Ryan Lenz, 1 year later article. An article dated August 5th, 2018 on the SPLC website by Ryan Lenz, entitled 1 year later, Leaders from Unite the Right Fall from Grace, states, quote, since early last year, the far-right groups Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys, it should be BOIS, right? An SPLC designated hate group, have held more than a dozen rallies throughout the Pacific Northwest under the banner of freedom. These events have always been about exhibiting machismo. But as political divisions in the country have grown, they've developed a more targeted purpose. Far-right activists taking out their aggression on political opponents. As Proud Boys founder Gavin McInnes once put it, fighting solves everything. Which he stole. He stole it. Violence solves everything. Stole it from Starship Troopers. Ask the founding fathers of Hiroshima. Right? If violence doesn't solve anything. There you go. The August 5th, 2018 article by Ryan Lenz falls towards McInnes because it falsely ascribes the description of the Proud Boys, which is not a far-right group. False description of the Proud Boys, which is not a hate group. False description of the Proud Boys, which is not far-right. Again, they just went ahead and just copied and pasted that same claim again. Proud Boys, false description of the Proud Boys, which does not take out its aggressions on political opponents or on themselves, because they can't, no jerking it. Falsely suggests with the intention that readers understand that the statement fighting solves everything was suggested as a literal truth, a tactic, or an organizational value by McInnes. The phrase is, in fact, a widely used blue-collar slogan found on t-shirts and bumper stickers and was wrenched from the context in which Mr. McInnes said the words in order to defame him. Oh, God, another article. These are so boring. These are so boring. Okay. July 25th, 2018, Hate Watch staff, another Charlottesville article. An article dated July 25th on the SPLC website by Hate Watch staff entitled, quote, another Charlottesville? Threats of violence loom over upcoming Portland Proud Boys Patriot Prayer Rally states, quote, since early last year, the far-right groups Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys have held more than a dozen rallies throughout the Pacific Northwest under the banner of freedom. And with talk of bringing weapons and declarations that, quote, this is war, members are threatening to make next weekend's march the most combustible yet. The article, I never even heard of it, so I guess they failed there. The article goes on to provide an update in smaller type below the headline, which admits the status of the August 5th rally in Berkeley is uncertain after a rash of infighting and an announcement from Gavin McInnes that the Proud Boys disavow the event. They disavow it. Notwithstanding the update, the July 25th article by Hate Watch staff is false and defamatory because it falsely ascribes false description of the Proud Boys, which the article falsely claims in its headline to be threatening violence at an upcoming Portland Proud Boys rally, despite the contradictory information in the update. Falsely claimed, and its subheadline was talking of bringing weapons and threatening to make next weekend's march the most combustible yet, despite the contradictory information in the update. So they want that headline changed. Okay. That was Rufio's punch. How did you not hear about it? Was that where that guy punched that chick after she was throwing the glass bottles at the firecrackers? Is that what that event was? I mean, I guess if that was the event, then I did hear about it. But, Charlottesville is, Charlottesville, of course, had the death, which makes it on the news. So I don't know. Is that the punch we're talking about? Okay. October 13th, 2018, Rachel Janik, Proud Boys and Far-Right Skinheads article. An article dated October 13th on the SPLC website by Rachel Janik entitled, Far-Right Skinheads Join Proud Boys in Assaulting Protesters in New York City Following Gavin McInnes' Event. Bears a subtitle, Proud Boys and Far-Right Skinheads were caught on video singling out and attacking protesters in New York City Friday night, and says in its first paragraph, in one video, a far-right assailant and a group of at least 15 screams, a bundle of sticks, as he kicks a person laying curled up on the pavement, without distinguishing between what SPLC claims to be the Proud Boys and far-right assailants. Again, I know this video, right? I saw the surveillance footage, and you can clearly see the one group throw something at the Proud Boys before they, before the fight breaks out. That's a... He straight up slugged 3 Antifas who were attacking a dude with a club. No, I did see that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. The guy, he had like the expandable baton, right? The asp. And he swung it and he just like, whatever. Boom. Lights out. That's a great video. Okay, I did see that. Okay, yes. Thank you. Okay, so that was at that rally. Good job. That punch is legendary. And that's good. Billy Boy Blue says Rufio is a character from Robin Williams' Pan. I know that is. Hey, I have an asp too, right? Like I have an asp that I've carried for a long time for stuff like that. But if you're gonna use it, you can't do a limp-wristed swing like it's someone's arm, because I mean it's gonna hurt later, right? It's gonna hurt that person's arm later. You better be landing the ball of that baton, because physics, lever mechanics, you've got lever, and a lever arm on the asp. They all come together and you snap that ball right here, knock the teeth out, hit him in the temple or the eardrum, something like that. That's where you got to hit someone. You can't do this like little weak, limp-wristed Antifa swing. If someone's got the arm up, it's not going to happen. You got to hit the skull, guys. And you got to hit it with the ball, not the baton. That's a light baton. It's all about lever mechanics. If only Antifa would have taken a mechanical engineering class. Some calculus. Oh my goodness. Some kinetics in their engineering school. All right. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Here's the Rachel Janik article entitled Far-Right Skinheads Join Proud Boys and oh wait, I read that part. Yeah, but I saw this video too. The two guys clashing, or the two groups clashing. And yeah, that one guy is kicking that guy while he's down. I wouldn't want to be down there. I wouldn't want to be down there. Kinematics, not kinetics. My bad. Thank you. Thank you, Map 180. I never got past statics. I switched out of engineering. I defer to all of you engineers. Much respect. I hated that much math. The October 13th article is false and defamatory because it falsely ascribes false description of the Proud Boys. Proud Boys are not a far-right group. Full of empirically false statements, the truth of which could readily have been ascertained by her from the information and sources used to prepare the article. Oh, good. That's what you should be focusing on in all of these. Statements like that. A group of at least 15... Okay, for example, the passage cited above referring to a group of at least 15 can be seen in videotape footage to consist of 9 people. Passage claims that one of the far-right assailants shouted, "He was a effing foreigner," a highly inflammatory statement reeking of extremism, when in fact he said there were 4 of them. That's like a Japanese subtitle error. That's a fan sub of that video. Referring to Antifa attackers who were upon information and belief not foreigners. They're foreigners. It's like Blazing Saddles. The October 13th article is false and defamatory towards Mr. McInnes because it falsely claims he, quote, brought a samurai sword to the event when in fact it was a wakizashi. No, just kidding. When in fact he owns no such or weapons, and consistent with his persona as a humorist, appeared with a toy sword made of plastic. The toy sword was also broken. In an anime, that thing would have been viable. The October 13th article on the SPLC website is false towards Mr. McInnes because it falsely claims he attended an anti-Muslim rally in 2017, which he did not. Good job. Good job. October 18th, Rachel Janik, Violence and Hate, That's the Proud Boys article. Oh god, these are so long. We're coming to the end, guys. There's 5 pages left, and it's gonna be like all articles. An article dated October 18th on the SPLC website by, quote, the editors, entitled Weekend Read, Violence and Hate, That's the Proud Boys in a Nutshell. Bears the subtitle, Last Friday, members of the hate group Proud Boys and at least 3 ultra-nationalist skinheads. They're ultra-nationalists now, okay. Is that above super-nationalists? Attacked protesters outside the Metropolitan Republican Club in New York City. The October 18th article on SPLC website is false and defamatory because it falsely ascribes him characteristics of SPLC's false description of the Proud Boys. Proud Boys are not a hate group, a false claim repeated again in the article. Repeats many of the same false and defamatory statements set forth above concerning the October 13th article by Rachel Janik. Well, I mean, because she wrote this one too, so she just copy and pasted parts of her article. Falsely claims that the Proud Boys members marched in Charlottesville, Virginia, alongside Richard Spencer, the most prominent alt-right leader. October 18th article on SPLC website is false and defamatory towards Mr. McInnes because it falsely ascribes to him characteristics of the false description of the Proud Boys, when in fact Proud Boys did not only not as a group participate in Charlottesville March and are not associated with Richard Spencer, but in fact expelled 4 members for attending the event after being forbidden from doing so by Mr. McInnes and the Proud Boys leadership at the time. So if you had your tiki torch and were a Proud Boy, you were out. The October 18th article falsely claims that the Proud Boys, quote, represent a new face of the radical right. Although interestingly, it says that this is one of those funny ones where you're trying to make your point, but you undermine your claim. The Proud Boys didn't attend it. The 4 guys who did, they're out. They got kicked out after attending it. We weren't there. I mean, we were, but we didn't want them to be. It's kind of funny because yeah, they I guess were there as a group. There you go, 4 people. Falsely claims the Proud Boys represent a new face of the radical right relish street fighting, pickle relish street fighting, and embrace the central tenets of white nationalism. White nationalism. The October 18th article on the SPLC website is false and defamatory because it falsely ascribes to him false description of the Proud Boys. Proud Boys are not, as the article alleges, an element of, much less a new face of the radical right. Well, I mean, that's not up to you. That's just... Most of this stuff is nothing. I mean, there's little bits here and there, but man, they're few and far between. Falsely ascribes him characteristics of the Proud Boys. Proud Boys do not relish street fighting. Some of them might. How do you know? Proud Boys do not embrace the central tenets of white nationalism. That one's true. It's against their bylaws. Falsely describes him as an extremist who utilizes subterfuge and lies. Well, that's all opinion. In none of the instances of publication alleged above did SPLC ever obtain or seek information, clarification, or confirmation from Mr. McInnes regarding claims about or quotes attributed to him. SPLC made the foregoing false and defamatory statements with knowledge of or in reckless disregard of their falsity. That's important to him being a public figure and having to overcome the actual malice requirement and defamation, or both. Each and every one of the poster articles referred to above as having been published on the SPLC website on a given date is, as of the date hereof, still publicly available and can be found on the website. Jared Taylor is basically the entire reason for the white meme. Oh, that's it. That's good. That's good. Count 3. False light invasion of privacy. Ooh. Here you go. Here you go. Mr. McInnes hereby incorporates... Yeah. By virtue of the foregoing alleged conduct, defendant SPLC placed Mr. McInnes in false and defamatory light that is offensive to a reasonable person. Mr. McInnes has suffered financial and other damage as a result of SPLC's wrongful conduct. He has no adequate remedy at law. So what are you asking for? What are you asking for? Aiding and abetting employment discrimination pursuant to New York labor law. Section 201D. As alleged above, SPLC targeted Mr. McInnes and acted to cause him to be dismissed from his employment in the city of New York and to discourage or intimidate other employers from hiring Mr. McInnes because of his past involvement with the Proud Boys. Mr. McInnes' activities relating to the Proud Boys were a lawful leisure time activity for which he, as an employer of CRTV, Blaze TV, received no compensation and in which he engaged for recreational purposes. Are you suing CRTV and Blaze TV? I know you don't have to. But man, I don't know. Are you going to get a statement that it was this? That it was the SPLC hate designation? Would Blaze back that up? Would Blaze come out and say, you know what? We don't hire hate groups from the SPLC? I find that hard to believe, man. Maybe I'll email the Glenn back. Be like, hey, do you make employment decisions based on SPLC designations? Ryan English, no, he said, I bet it's supposed to be no other remedy at law, maybe. No, I don't think so, because he said it in the first count, no remedy at law. This count thing, I mean, this is where you lay out statutory damages, you lay out, your damages allegations. Even if you don't know the amounts, you say an amount to be determined at trial, and you lay out what relief you're seeking. Like, a remedy at law is monetary damages. He has another remedy at law, the takedown of the articles, public apologies. There are all sorts of legal remedies that can be enforced here. Very weird. Pursuant to New York labor law, section 201D, no employer may discriminate against an employee or prospective employee because of his legal recreational activities outside work hours, off of the employer's premises, and without use of the employer's equipment or property, or other property. I mean, but do you have a morality clause in your contract with Blaze TV? It's Glenn Beck, buddy. I know you've got a morality clause and a public image policy in that contract. This is going to be a hard one to sell. The tortious interference is good, but the discrimination stuff, you probably waived that. Conduct of SPLC in procuring Mr. McInnes' dismissal from employment because of his involvement in a protected recreational activity. See, now this is a problem. He hasn't laid a factual basis for this claim at all. He's not laid down a single fact that I can remember. And it's a little fuzzy, but because it's a long document. But I'm pretty sure that he hasn't ever conclusively stated, Blaze TV or CRTV informed me that they relied on SPLC determination of me as a hate group to make the employment decision to terminate my show. Like, he's never said that. He hasn't laid out any factual statement. He hasn't provided any evidence that I've seen of that. That's a huge problem for this claim. Conduct of SPLC in procuring Mr. McInnes' dismissal from employment because of his involvement in protected recreational activity was a violation of or constituted aiding and abetting of a violation of New York labor law pursuant to the general scheme provided in Chapter 5 of the New York City Human Rights Law, Section 8-107 et sec, and the construction provision of Section 8-130, to which Mr. McInnes is entitled to relief under the statute and as a matter of common law. Prayer for relief. Here we go. We're almost done. Wherefore, Mr. McInnes respectfully prays for judgment as follows: that this court declare that SPLC's publication of the false and misleading representation of fact Mr. McInnes is connected to a hate group and other misrepresentations about him tortiously interfered with Mr. McInnes' business expectancy in violation of law. That this court declare blah, 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 was done with actual malice in violation of law. The same thing was done with actual malice. Connected to a hate group and other misrepresentations, placed him in a false and harmful light in violation of applicable common law, including the claim that he was connected to a hate group because of his lawful recreational activities, wrongfully caused him to be discharged from his employment and to be prevented from obtaining future employment in the state of New York in violation of New York Labor Law 201D. Let's see. I mean, but that means that every single employer is committing employment discrimination by not hiring him. That's weird. It's a weird claim. I don't think it's going to work. Further, okay. This court issue a permanent injunction enjoining SPLC, its officers, agents, servants, employees, and all other persons acting in active concert or participation with SPLC from further interfering with his prospective economic opportunities by dissemination of the false, misleading, and defamatory representation of fact that Mr. McInnes is a hate group, and requiring that SPLC issue a public retraction, apology, and appropriate corrective advertising because of its actions. This court award Mr. McInnes all appropriate, actual, compensatory, and pecuniary damages resulting from their false, misleading, and defamatory representation of fact that Mr. McInnes is connected to a hate group. How about your tortious interference claim and the false light claim, man? Those come with damages too. All appropriate reputational damages resulting from false, misleading, and defamatory representation that he's connected to a hate group. This court award Mr. McInnes all reasonable attorneys' fees and costs, grant such other and further relief as the court deems equitable and just under the circumstances. Baron Coleman Law Firm by G. Baron Coleman. There you go. Got some ProHack Vice admission pending on these guys, on Ronald D. Coleman and Lauren X. Tofelson. That's his New York attorneys. There you go. That's the document. All 61 pages of really less than optimally Englished sentences and not the strongest legal reasoning I've run across. So, I don't know. Billy Boy Blue. It's my opinion that Nick Rekieta does one shot, then goes to bed. Yeah, man, I'm tired. I told you guys at the beginning of the stream that I am wiped out tonight. Just all day. Jeb Bush levels of energy. This is miserable. Just miserable. So I am going to wrap up the stream. It's 2 hours right now. I really thank you guys for sticking with me through this document. I will put out a short condensed video summarizing the case, laying out what I think some of the really poorly articulated claims are. Man, it's a shame. It's a shame. When I heard that Gavin was suing the SPLC, I got really excited. I hoped he would put together a really good case. I do not have a lot of faith in this. I think it's going to get this this case is going to get dismissed very, very quickly on many of his own statements. He's risking. It's New York. New York doesn't have the strongest anti-SLAPP stuff. Thank goodness. If he was bringing this, let's see. I mean, he brought this in what? Oh no, it's not New York. It's in Alabama. Uh-oh. Alabama anti-SLAPP. Alabama does not have an anti-SLAPP law. Well, that's good. That's good for McInnes because he would be really pushing the envelope on that SLAPP designation, because it's very likely that he would get anti-SLAPPed out of existence and have to pay their fees based on this lawsuit. In my humble opinion, almost everything they do is protected speech, which I hate. I hate the SPLC so much, but it's protective. Blacksmith Gaming on Stream Me says, can you please make your camera window full screen and then scream, don't talk to the cops, I need it for memes, and Stream Me Rewind? Yeah, I can do that, buddy. I can do that in just a second. So yeah, there you go. That's what we got for this case. I'll monitor it, but I strongly think that thing's gonna die. That thing's gonna die in early motion practice. Okay, let me do what Blacksmith Gaming has requested, and then I'm gonna call it a day really soon here. All right, you ready, buddy? Here we go. Let me frame the camera a little bit better here. Hey guys, I just got one thing to say for you. Don't talk to the cops. Don't talk to the cops. Don't talk to the cops. Thank you. All right, real quick, there's one more super chat. I hope that helps you out, Blacksmith Gaming. This is one shot. Come on, something aged. Tenaple would do one. No, I don't think Tenaple would do a shot of something aged. If you want me to do a shot, I will do a shot of Proper 12. How's that? How's that? Here we go. Let's we'll get it in the Glencairn glass here. Open up the aromas a little bit. 99 Iron Duke, yes. I did a long live stream on the Anis Abdin lawsuit. Ooh. I don't know, that looks like more than a shot, but we'll figure that out. I did a long live stream on that, and this week or next week, I will have a brief, like I've been doing these 15-minute summaries of big lawsuits and 15-minute summaries of like updates and stuff like that. So if you guys like those, please literally go like them and share them. It really helps. Those things are awesome for growth if they get out. And the only way that they get out is if you guys watch, like, and share them, because then the algorithm picks them up and then they take off. And I would love to do more of them, and I appreciate your help in that. So there is a summary video of Anis Abdin versus CBS in regards to the tardigrades Star Trek Discovery lawsuit. There's a 15 to 18, whatever, however long I can make it. That video is coming very soon, the next week or two here. Several of those videos are coming. So yeah, if there are cases that you really want me to cover in that respect, you think they're interesting, like I'm going to do Tekashi 6ix9ine. I'm just kind of waiting for his sentencing hearing and stuff like that. We'll do Mercedes Carrera as the documents become available. When I say we'll do Mercedes Carrera, let me clarify what I mean by that. We will cover her case in a 15-minute video, right? We're not gonna, well, I'm not a 10-year-old. I'm not doing Mercedes Carrera. Absolutely disgusting. All right, here guys. Here's the shot of Proper 12. Oh, it's got that lovely nail polish remover flavor in there. Ugh. You don't pick up any wood in this. I think it was aged in a steel drum. Oh. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Oh. Oh. Oh, it's filthy. That is gross. Patrick Law, diversity in comics case. That one is getting a video. I think tomorrow, a 15-minute update video. It's in jurisdictional discovery until the end of this month. Little birdie tells me some depositions have been scheduled. So I will talk about that stuff as the information becomes available. Depositions have been scheduled. My knowledge of that is they have not happened yet. They're in the process of interrogatories and admissions and all of that. And maybe I'll explain what's going on in that jurisdictional update video. That's coming out probably tomorrow. Okay. Gosh. That is... Ugh. All right, guys. Thanks for watching tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't know what the exact stream content is going to be tomorrow, but I'm hoping to have something good, maybe a guest or two. It depends. Soon, I'm trying to work together a stream with Anime Outsiders and Gator Gamer. We're going to cover the Vic Mignogna debacle that's going on. And then there's so that's one weeb related stream. And then I will do another weeb stream sometime soon. I'm trying to line up the cast for it. That'll involve Land Anime, the channel's official anime recommender. I'm hoping to snag a couple other people. One you probably know, one you might not. That'll be a very different weeb stream. With some different opinions on different types of anime. So if you guys like that stuff, that'll be coming. Other than that, I'm also working on just now starting to work on organizing the next Chad Dad Chat with Doug Tenaple and Larry Blydner. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thanks for coming out. Always love talking to you. Peace. Have a good night.